What's up, everybody? It's KZ here. I'm going to be going ahead and breaking down UFC 326, Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira 2. Go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, because you did a lot of research for this video, so a like will go a long way. Let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start at the very bottom of the card and then work our way up to the main event. First things first, we've got Luke Fernandez versus Rodolfo Bellato. Now, I'm thinking Luke Fernandez is going to get the win here. Luke Fernandez, he's got solid boxing, solid wrestling, collegiate wrestling background. He's coming off of a 15-second knockout on the Dana White Contender Series, but he was kind of fed a can in that fight. He's gotten knockouts on the regional scene, but I feel like his competition at Cage Fury was a bit more stiff, or definitely a lot more stiff than the guy that he fought on Dana White Contender Series, who was just kind of like a chubby kind of can. But Luke Fernandez, what he's shown me on the regional scene, he's a cage smudging kind of wrestler. He likes to push people up against the cage, shoot for takedowns, get in their face with the boxing. He's got good pace and pressure, decent punching power. He's got a solid left hook. He likes to hop and jump into range with that left hook. He likes to throw it off of the back foot as well. He's got a solid chin. I've seen him, take shots, and he takes them pretty well. He doesn't really throw too much of a jab. He's got a good right hand as well. So he's just, your pretty basic cut and dry wrestle boxer, but he's solid. He's a good fighter. And then Rodolfo Bellato, he's a big plotting dude, durable, decent Muay Thai and power, but he's very hittable, low fight IQ as well. We've seen him kind of do that bullshit with Paul Craig where he kind of like fell to his back and then pretended he was out and then he pretended he woke up. And I don't know what that whole mumbo jumbo was, if he was just trying to get an easy DQ win, but that ended up backfiring in his face. But yeah, the pick here is going to be Fernandez. Like I said, he fought a bum on Dana White Contender Series, but his competition in Cage Fury has been solid. Fought better guys there than he did on Dana White Contender Series, but I see him winning a decision here. Potentially might get a KO, but Rodolfo Bellato has shown that he's pretty durable. I see him able to land solid punches here on the feet, shooting for takedowns, smudging Bellato up against the cage. Bellato, I don't know, man. He just isn't that great of a fighter. He's big, tough, and dumb, and that's about it. So the pick is going to be Fernandez here by decision. Moving right along, we've got Gaston Bolaños versus Jeong Lee. Something to note is that Jeong Lee is coming in on short notice, but I'm sure that he should be in decent enough shape to go ahead and beat Gaston Bolaños. From what we've seen, Jeong Lee is a very fast starter. He comes right across the cage and tries to get in your face and knock you the fuck out. He's got solid striking, good grappling, but he generally opts to strike. And he's got a rock solid chin. I mean, Hyder Emil, like when he got knocked out in just a minute, which isn't a good look, but he was eating shots, didn't go down. It was it was a standing TKO. But I don't think that Bolaños is going to go with that kind of same aggressive kind of pressure. And I think that was just kind of like a one-time thing that he's going to get stopped like that. But yeah, he's more well-rounded than Bolaños, a better wrestler and grappler if he chooses to use it. He's got a nice left hook to the body that he likes to dig in there in his combinations. But yeah, Jeong Lee, fast hands, solid boxing, good cardio. I think that he can beat Bolaños here. Bolaños is solid Muay Thai, good kicks. He's kind of stationary, though, not the best footwork. I just think that Lee has a speed advantage here. And something to note, like I said, coming on short notice. But Bolaños, good kicks, good Muay Thai, relatively slow with the footwork. So I think that Lee can get to him with the hands and either win by a TKO or a decision here. So the pick is going to be Jeong Lee. Like I said, short notice, but he's a moderate favorite. So the bookies think that he wins as well. Now, next up, we've got Rafael Tobias versus Diyar Nurgozhay. Tobias is powerful striking, good grappling, solid takedowns and ground and pounds, good submissions. Diyar Nurgozhay is coming off 2 submission losses, and Rafael Tobias is coming off of a submission win on the Dana White Contender Series. So you guys can see it. This fight is set up for Tobias to get a submission here. Nurgozhay is a good striker, but I think that Tobias can get to him on the feet, potentially a club and sub or ground and pound TKO. I think that he rocks him on the feet and then he follows up with an attack on the ground. And Nurgozhay, he has some kind of tick where he's always like fucking with his eye, always rubbing his eye. And, it's a handicap when it comes to fighting. Instead of jabbing, feinting, he's always just like fucking digging into his eyeball. I don't know what he has going on there. It's just a tick that he has. But, whatever he's doing there with his eyeball, it's not beneficial to the fight. He's not jabbing. He's not doing anything to give himself an advantage of the fight. He's doing this shit, and I think that Tobias catches him. I think that he chokes him out. But yeah, Rafael Tobias, I like. He's powerful dude, fast. I think that he can get to Diyar Nurgozhay, and I think that he gets the job done here inside the distance. Probably even a round 1 finish. Moving on, we've got Sumudaerji versus Jesus Aguilar. Man, you can see here the reach discrepancy. There's a 9.5-inch reach advantage for Sumudaerji, which is ridiculous. That's one of the biggest reach advantages that we've seen in a long time. So yeah, I think Sumudaerji is going to ping up Aguilar at range. He's going to keep Aguilar at the end of his punches, land good calf kicks, land a solid jab, piece him up. And yeah, man, Sumudaerji has shown a good ability to get up after getting taken down in his Mitch Raposo fight. Sumudaerji is good at fighting long. Some tall guys engage in a clinch and fight squared. They don't use full advantage of their reach. They don't fully extend their jab, don't take advantage of that length. A prime example of that is Neil Magny, who likes to fight in the clinch for some fucking reason when he's like 7 feet tall. But Sumudaerji uses his reach, fully extends his punches. Jesus Aguilar is just fighting an uphill battle here. Aguilar's only chance to win here is just catching a guillotine in a scramble after, taking Sumudaerji down. Sumudaerji is working his way back up. And Aguilar hops on that guillotine. So if you're going to bet Aguilar, if you're going to bet on Sumudaerji, I'd say that Aguilar by sub is a good hedge. If you're going to bet on Aguilar, I'd say by submission is how you're going to want to attack that. Aguilar's not going to outstrike him. I highly doubt that he knocks him out. And he's not going to be able to control him on the ground and beat him up like to a decision. Sumudaerji, he's been submitted 6 times, 3 times in the UFC. Aguilar looked good in his last fight against Garule, but Garule isn't that good and also has T-Rex arms. Sumudaerji looked good in his last fight against Borjas, but Borjas didn't throw shit. And, Borjas is primarily a striker. He's not going to be going for wrestling and submissions and everything else. So Sumudaerji, I feel like he looked good against Raposo. I feel like that's a good indicator of what he's going to look like in the Jesus Aguilar fight. And I like Sumudaerji to get it done here, most likely by decision. He hasn't shown any kind of real knockout power in the UFC. So we're going with Sumudaerji by decision. Up next, we've got Cody Durden versus Nyamjargal Tumendemberel. How you guys like that fucking pronunciation? Go ahead and leave a like for that name pronunciation, y'all. Yeah, Nyamjargal Tumendemberel. I think that Nyamjargal can get this done. Something to know is that Cody Durden took his last fight on 10 days' notice, but he's coming off of an Anaconda choke loss. Tumendemberel is coming off of an Anaconda choke win. So Cody Durden, 1-5 in his last 6 fights, getting finished in the second round in 4 of those losses. So in total, Cody Durden has gotten finished 7 times, and 5 times have been in the second round. So Nyamjargal round 2, solid play in my opinion. Nyamjargal has good scrambles and is a submission hunter. Aggressive striking on the feet. And I don't know, man, be careful with the submission prop. My pick is Tumendemberel by submission, but because Durden is getting submitted, but it's just like he's getting submitted by submission specialists, Alan Nascimento, who has 16 wins by submission. Tagir Ulanbekov, who has 8 wins by sub. Muhammad Makayev, who has 7 wins by sub. Jimmy Flick, who has 15 wins by sub. All very high-level grapplers, all specialists when it comes to the grappling and submissions. But I think Nyamjargal can get this done here, potentially by a decision. But I think my official pick is submission round 2. That's what it is. Yes. So we're going Nyamjargal Tumendemberel by submission here. And I think that Cody Durden, I like Cody Durden. He's a scrappy dude, but I think that Nyamjargal gets it done here. And now coming up next, we've got Alberto Montes versus Ricky Turcios. The pick is going to be Alberto Montes here. Alberto Montes went to war in his last fight on Dana White Contender Series against an aggressive and explosive opponent who since that fight has gone 3-1 since his fight with Alberto Montes. Montes was able to showcase solid boxing counters, strike defense, spinning kicks, and defensive grappling. And Montes was able to get an Anaconda choke submission in round 2 that he transitioned to from an attempted Peruvian necktie. So this guy's got some solid grappling, good submission attacks on the ground. And he's used to fighting full-sized 145ers. Ricky Turcios is moving up to 145 from 135. Something to note is that Montez's last fight was in October of 2024, which, you don't like to see because he hasn't fought in a long time. But Ricky Turcios' was in January of 2025. So both guys have been out for quite some time. It's not like Ricky Turcios is active and he's going to have that advantage over Montes. Both guys have been relatively inactive for quite some time. But yeah, man, Ricky Turcios, you know what I'm saying? He likes Dragon Ball Z. He's a nerd about that shit. I like that. But that's not going to be a reason for me to pick him. You know, Ricky's just not very fast, powerful, or accurate with his striking. He has good volume. He fights hard, but he's just not very good. He's not very talented. As much as it sucks to say, he's a scrappy guy. I just think that Ricky Turcios is physically outmatched here. You know, Ricky's biggest strength is his jiu-jitsu, even though he only has one submission win. I think that Montes can match him there. Ricky Turcios has 3 TKO wins, but he hasn't had one since 2016. So all the wins that he's gotten since 2020 have been by decision because he got that one submission win in 2020. So yeah, Montes will be the bigger, stronger guy. I think that he can find a finish in a relatively one-sided fight here. Something surprising, you know, a fun fact is that Ricky actually has a split decision win in Bellator over Steve Garcia back in 2016. When he was 22 and Garcia was 23. But, you know, fun facts aside, I see Montes dominating here. I think that he gets the win, and I think that he makes it look relatively uncompetitive in a dominant win over Ricky Turcios. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Donte Johnson versus Cody Brundage. I mean, what are we doing here, bro? Like, Cody Brundage, like, we all fucking know that this dude's going to get chinned. I mean, Donte Johnson KO. I don't rate Brundage highly at all. I don't think anyone does, really. I mean, maybe I'm disrespecting the guy and I shouldn't, but fucking, I mean, Cody Brundage fans, let me know in the comments that I'm an asshole. All right. But yeah, Cody Brundage is coming off of a KO loss to Cam Roston back in January 31st on the Sydney card. That was a little over a month ago. Donte Johnson has heavy fucking hands, and I see him getting the stoppage here over a fucking bumvating in Cody Brundage. He's a minus 700 favorite, so let's move on. Donte Johnson KO. Donte Johnson is going to kill him. But now we've got Cody Garbrandt versus Long Xiao or Xiao Long, however you want to say it. But I'm pretty sure it's Xiao Long. Xiao Long is just like a less intelligent, less talented version of Song Yadong. Just like a complete meathead fighter, very tenacious, very reckless, very pressure heavy. He just comes forward and swings from his fucking ass. He just tries to go forward and knock you out. Cody Garbrandt should have the skills to exploit and counter this dude on the feet. He really should. The only issue is that will Cody slow down? If it becomes a difficult fight, will Xiao Long's tenacity and will to win get him the win, you know? How will Cody look in that third round when Xiao Long is just coming forward and trying to pressure him and get in his face? Xiao Long comes forward. He throws from his hips. One thing I know for certain is that Xiao Long is a dog, and he absolutely will fight as hard as he can to win. I hope that Cody has enough desire in the tank to pull through and get the win here because I know that he has the talent, but sometimes it comes down to who wants it more. And, you know, Xiao Long, he's dangerous for sure. I think that Cody can do enough in rounds 1 and 2 to get a 29-28 decision, maybe even a knockout if, you know, he catches Xiao Long coming crashing forward. You know, Xiao Long potentially winning round 3 based on just pressure and output. But something about Xiao Long's decision, it says he's 27-10. This dude is a total can crusher. When he was 21-7, he fought a dude that was 0-0. When he was 18-7, he fought a dude that was 3-0. He was 15-7. He fought a dude that was 1-4. Like, come on now. Like this, when he was 22-8, he fought a dude that was 2-3. Like, bro, like this guy should have at least like fucking 6 fights on his record that are just tagged on Tapology as like potential issues with illegitimacy. Because he's fighting dudes with losing records that are 0-0 when he's had 25 fights. So in reality, this dude's record is probably like 21-10 and not 27-10 because a lot of those fights were just complete fucking squash matches where he was just set up to win. So yeah, that aside, the pick is Cody Garbrandt by decision. I think that he has enough talent and enough skills to capitalize over a very reckless and, you know, reckless but tenacious Long Xiao. If Cody Garbrandt loses this fight, dude, Jesus fucking Christ, like at that, I don't know what to do with Cody Garbrandt anymore at that point. He might retire if he loses, but we'll see. I'm riding with Cody Garbrandt one last time. I think that he has the skills to get it done, but we're riding with Cody, and let's fucking hope he wins. But now we've got Gregory Rodrigues versus Bruno Ferreira 2. I think that Hobokopsh. I think that Hobocop he underestimated Brunno in their first fight, or he felt like he was invincible in general. He just came forward with not much respect for Bruno Ferreira's power, and he paid the price. He got knocked out. So I think that RoboCop gets his revenge here. I think that he's going to be more defensively sound this time around, uses more wrestling, or just, he approaches the striking differently. I don't want to call their first fight a fluke, but I'm going to call it a fluke, I don't think that same thing happens again here. RoboCop has power in his hands, solid jiu-jitsu, and striking pressure. Bruno Ferreira also has powerful striking, might have a little bit of a speed advantage early, but he does tend to slow down more than RoboCop does. And I also think that since their fight, Rodrigues has gotten more impressive wins. He's gotten wins over Jack Hermanson, Roman Kopylov, Christian Leroy Duncan, Brad Tavares. I mean, Des Tululin, come on now. But, those 4 wins are better than who Bruno Ferreira's beaten, which is Phil Haas, who's super chinny, Dustin Stoltzfus, who's all right. He got subbed by Abus Magomedov. Come on. He beat Armin Petrosian, who's primarily a kickboxer, beat Jackson McVeigh, who's not good whatsoever, and he beat Marvin Vittori, who's very, tough but not very skilled. So I think that Gregory Rodrigues has the better wins in that regard. I think that he gets his revenge here. And yes, RoboCop got gassed out and got TKO'd by Jared Cannonier, but I'm confident, if not 100% certain, that the exact same thing would have happened to Ferreira if he fought Jared Cannonier, who's a fucking monster. He would have gassed out. He would have gotten fucked up just the same. So we're going RoboCop. I think that he gets maybe potentially a decision win here, but I'm going with RoboCop by round 2 TKO. Now we've got Bobby Green, Jesus Christ, Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. I've got Dober here, racially motivated KO. No, I'm just kidding. All right, but if Dober can't get a KO, I do see Johnson winning a decision. Because, I do see him winning more minutes throughout the fight. Dober comes down to, getting that knockout shot, winning that moment. But I think that Dober can use his leg kicks to take advantage of Michael Johnson's planted boxing stance and eventually get to him with the hands. I can see Johnson landing more volume, winning more moments of the fight, like I said. But I think that Dober can eventually get to him as it becomes a war of attrition. If these two are going back and forth, I trust in Dober's durability. Michael Johnson's winning streak, 3-fight winning streak, it looks impressive. But if you dig into it, it becomes less impressive. Darius Flowers was coming off of a submission loss before Michael Johnson beat him by decision, and then he lost by submission again after that. Otman Azaitar was coming off of 2 first-round KO losses before Johnson KO'd him in the second round. Daniel Zellhuber was coming off of a loss to Ribovics by decision, looked bad in the Michael Johnson fight, lost that decision, and then he just got fucking destroyed by Bobby Green in Mexico City. So it's like Johnson is beating dudes that are losing. He's not beating dudes that are on winning streaks. And, oh, man, Michael Johnson is beating fucking Darius Flowers, lost 3 fights in a row here. Jake Matthews, Michael Johnson, Evan Elder. Oh, he beat Otman Azaitar. He got a sick KO. Before that, Otman Azaitar got knocked out by Max Frivola and Francisco Prado in round 1. Like, come on now. And then Zellhuber. Don't even fucking get me started on Daniel Zellhuber. Like, we all saw what happened to that dude in Mexico City against Bobby Green. Like, he fucking sucks. I don't care. Dober coming off of KO losses to Miguel Torres and John Silva, but those guys are fucking killers. And Silva and Tora would have both fucked up Michael Johnson. So I'm thinking that Dober has fought the better guys. He's just, he's not winning, but he's fighting better guys than Michael Johnson is. Like, I would say that he knocks out every single person on Michael Johnson's winning streak. He would have knocked out Azaitar, probably would have knocked out Darius Flowers, and he probably would have knocked out Daniel Zellhuber. So if Dober got, matched up with those guys, he would probably be on a fucking 3-fight winning streak too. God damn it, I'm getting passionate. But yeah, the pick is going to be Dober here. The pick is going to be Dober by knockout, by melanin seeking punches. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. The pick here is going to be Rob Font, dude. I mean, I'm sorry, Chihuihuis. I know that. Let me just go ahead and show you guys this here. Rob Font's jab is going to be landing all night long. All right. Rob Font's jab is going to be giving him issues. Chihuihui's face is built like a fucking boxing mitt. All right. That Rob Font jab is going to be landing all night long, and I don't want to hear anything about it. All right. Chihuihui's is going to be fucking getting into his face early. He's going to be getting those takedowns. And then what happens when he can't submit Rob Font in round 1 and he starts to slow down? I think that Rob Font can get the job done here. I think that he's training with Team TriStar. He's not training at New England Cartel, so he doesn't have, that lackluster team behind him for this one. He's training with for us as a hobby, so that's just a good thing. Font coming off of a win over Jian Matsumoto, who is better than Raul Rosas Jr., and I think that Rob Font jab is going to be landing all night here. I think that he's going to be piecing Chewy's up after that first round. He's going to lose round 1 after getting taken down. And then afterwards, I think that Rob Font can keep him on the feet, keep the fight on the feet after Raul Rosas Jr. slows down a bit. And he'll win a decision just outboxing Rosas Jr., hurting him on occasions. In reality, Rosas Jr. just really hasn't beaten anyone good. He lost to Christian Rodrigues, who's a good grappler. And they're just trying to rush him up the rankings by giving him the guy with the worst grappling in the bantamweight division, the bantamweight rankings, not division, in Rob Font, which is short-sighted because I feel like even if Rosas wins here, who would he beat in the rankings above Rob Font? I don't think it's anybody. So I'm going with Rob Font. I think that he keeps it on the feet, and I think that he gives Chewy a boxing lesson here. Raul Rosas Jr., I don't think that the industry plant is going to get this done. So moving along, we've got Kyle Bohalio versus Rainier de Ritter. I'm going with Kyle Bohalio here. I think that Kyle can keep this fight on the feet, and I think that he has a substantial striking advantage over RDR. He went 5 rounds striking with Nasruddin Imavov, and Imavov's hands looked lightning fucking fast. Imavov was coming off of that knockout win over Israel Adesanya, and Kyle was able to keep himself safe on the feet with good head movement, being defensively sound. He didn't get rocked. He didn't get dropped or substantially rocked. So I think that Kyle Bohalio, I just think that he has a speed advantage over RDR, who's relatively slow in the striking range and is just overall the more explosive fighter. I think that Kyle's grappling is good enough to keep himself safe on the ground as well, if RDR can even get it there. Kyle is a solid grappler in his own right, and RDR's wins are not that impressive outside of the Whitaker win, where he almost got finished and the motherfucker had to cheat in order to survive by grabbing the glove. So he got rocked bad by Gerald Meerschaert, which is a terrible look. Gerald Meerschaert's striking is abysmal. He submitted Kevin Holland, who's notoriously terrible at defending, grappling, and submissions up at middleweight. TKO to Green, Bo Nickel, and then he beat Robert Whitaker by split decision in a fight where he cheated in order not to get finished. So come on now. Kyle is 17-2. He's never been finished. He beat Brendan Allen by decision in grappling. And I think that he keeps the fight on the feet and he outboxes RDR to a decision. I like his striking. I think that he has faster hands. I think that he has better kicks. RDR has that knee that he likes to throw out the middle, but I don't think that's going to be enough to beat a guy like Kyle Bohalio, who's a very talented fighter, and he's only lost to the very best in the UFC in Nasruddin Imavov, who is, should have fought Khamzat for the title if Khamzat wasn't a duck, or the most inactive champion in the history of the UFC. But it is what it is. Kyle Bohalio, I think that he jumps right back into title contention by beating the shit out of Rainier de Ritter. I'm picking him by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a KO win here, but we're going with Kyle Bohalio by decision. So now we've got Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. Oh, fuck me, dude. Main event picks always stress me out, bro. Because it's just they always just feel so close on paper. This fight really is plaguing me. Because I just don't see what's preventing Charles Oliveira from getting to the body lock, picking Max up, putting him on the ground, hopping onto a rear naked choke, and just choking him the fuck out. Because it's like, I feel like if Charles Oliveira wants to submit Max Holloway, he totally can do it. And it's just like people are saying, oh, Max has good defensive grappling, good defensive wrestling. When have we seen it? When have we seen it? When have we seen this dude fight out of a rear naked choke? When have we seen this dude fight off submission attempts? When? I mean, he fought Brian Ortega. He opted to strike with him. It's just fuck, dude. It stresses me out. The pick is going to be Max Holloway, even though I just gave a great case for why Charles Oliveira might win this fight. But it's like everyone that fights Max opts to strike with him for some reason. Max has immaculate footwork. I think that he can manage the range. I think that he can keep Charles Oliveira off of him. But, dude, we haven't seen Max defend submissions in years. We haven't seen him fight a high-level grappler for years. Ilya took him down, but I feel like that was mainly just to mix things up and set up the hands. He hasn't really fought someone trying to win the fight via takedown since a 37-year-old Frankie Edgar back in 2019. If Oliveira opts to strike with him, it's going to be Max all day, but there's just something in the back of my mind telling me if Oliveira wants to, he can end this fight by going for a takedown and attacking a submission. He did the same thing to Gamrot. He took him down, choked him out. Gamrot has way better wrestling than Max Holloway. But Gamrot was stationary up against the cage. I don't think that Max Holloway is just going to be standing there waiting for Oliveira to come in, grab him, take him down. I think that he's going to be managing the range well. I think that he's going to be using his footwork to stay away from the fence. I think that he's going to use his footwork to stay away from Oliveira, keep him on the edge of his punches. just, try to piece him up from a distance. Max has great lateral movement. He won't make it easy for Charles to grab him. He's not going to just stand there stationary, let Charles get a hold of him. He'll be constantly moving and throwing shots at Charles. My issue is that Oliveira, he doesn't need to win minutes. He just needs one moment. If he drops Holloway or gets a reactive kind of takedown, gets in the back control, that's serious danger, man. His submissions are fucking dangerous. If you're betting Max Holloway, shit. If you're betting Oliveira, shit. I feel like this main event is just hard to call, man. It's hard to pick. It's hard to bet on. But I'm going to say that Max can survive the early Oliveira pressure. And he's going to break him down with the striking. Max has been less pillow-handed lately. I can see him hurting an extremely hittable Oliveira. So I'm going to say Max by round 4 TKO. I think that as Oliveira comes pressuring forward, he's going to be running into a lot of shit. Max Holloway is going to be putting a lot of strikes out there onto Oliveira. Obviously, Oliveira's jiu-jitsu, very scary, very problematic. But the pick here is going to be Max Holloway. I think that he gets the job done. But overall, my full card picks are going to be, let me get my face out of the way. Let's see here. We've got Holloway by KO, Bahalio by decision, Font by decision, Dober by KO, Rodrigues by KO, Cody Garbrandt by decision, Donte Johnson by KO, Alberto Montes by submission, Nyamjargal Tumendemberel by submission, Sumudaerji by decision, Rafael Tobias by submission, Jeong Lee by decision, and then Luke Fernandez by decision. That's going to be the full card pick. That's going to be the full card breakdown. Please go ahead and leave a like for me on this video. Share it, do whatever the fuck, leave a comment, all that stuff. Help me with the algorithm. I put a lot of work in on this fucking tape study and shit for this card for you guys. So come on now, help your boy out. Let me give me everything that YouTube can give me to benefit your boy. Leave a comment, leave a like. Let me know what you think about these fights. Am I crazy? Let me know if you think my picks are wrong. Let me know if you agree with me on my picks. All that good stuff. But yeah, your boy put the work in, watched some tape. The least you can do is fucking like the goddamn video, all right? No, but I appreciate you guys for watching. If you made it this far, truly, if you really give a shit about what I have to say about these fights, I do appreciate it. Because, your boy tries to get them right. Your boy tries to put the work in. He tries to have a good read on these fights. I try to give good analysis and, break down these fights to the best of my untrained ability. Your boy has a little bit of kickboxing experience from when I was fucking 15 years old, went to 3 jiu-jitsu classes, got my shoulder fucked up. And yeah, man, with my very limited training, I do try to have a good mind for the sport. I try to educate myself. I try to listen to people that actually know what they're talking about, talk about these fights and techniques and all that good stuff. But I'm just ranting and rambling. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace out. See you on Saturday. Enjoy the fights. Bada bing, bada boom, all that good shit.